So now we will discuss the third chapter in the module 3, that is the error detection and the correction. Okay. So why we have to require the error detection and the correction? So what happens, data can be corrupted in the transmission. So whenever we are to sending the data from the sender to the receiver, the data can be corrupted. Okay. So for that we need to develop the some of the approaches, or we have to call it the techniques. So by using those techniques we can easily detect the errors and also we can correct the errors. Okay. So that's why in this chapter we will discuss the some of the error detection techniques and the error correction techniques. Okay. So before going those techniques, okay, so we will discuss some basic concepts. Okay. So in the introduction parts we will discuss the some of the basic concept, that is the types of errors, okay, redundancy and detection, which is correction, and the coding. Okay. So here there is two types of errors. One is the single beat error and another one is a burst error. Okay. So the single beat error means here only one bit in the data unit can be changed. Okay. So here what happened, there is a data which is present at the sender side and data which is present data which is received by the receiver. Both are different here. Okay. So here one bit has been changed. Okay. So the that bit which is present at the fourth position, that has been changed whenever the receiver has received that particular bit. Okay. So this bit, okay, and at the receiver side that bit will be changed to 0 to the 1. Okay, means only one bit has been corrupted here, so that's why we have to call as it is the single bit error. Okay. And next one is burst error. The term burst error means two or more bits in the data unit can be changed from 1 to 0 or 0 to 1. Okay. So in the burst, as the name indicates, here two or more bits can be changed. Okay. So for example, they are given the diagram here. Okay. So the data which is sent by the sender and data which is received by the receiver, both are different here. Okay. So here more than more than 2 beats are changed here. More than more than 2 beats has been changed here at the receiver side. Okay. So here what happened, the 0 has been changed to the 1 here, and 0 has changed to the 1. Okay. Here also 0 has changed to the 1 and 0 has changed to the 1. So totally here 4 bits has been corrupted. Okay. So these are the more than 2 bits. Okay. Sorry, more than 1 bits. Okay. So that's why you have to call as a burst errors. Okay. So whenever the more than 1 bits are corrupted, that we have to call as a burst error. Okay. So here they also mention the length of the error, that is a 8 bit. Okay. So the first bit from the position in which the first bit has been corrupted to the position where the last bit is corrupted, so that distance we have to call as a, that is a length of the burst error. Okay. So that what we have to call as a burst error. Okay. Single bit means only one bit, and burst error means is a 2 or more bit can be changed at the receiver. Okay. And next we will discuss the redundancy. What is the redundancy means here? The central concepts in redundancy is used for detecting and correcting the errors. So redundancy is nothing but it is one type of approach we have to use for detecting and correcting the errors. Okay. So here to a second point, that is to able to detect and correct errors, we need to send some extra bit with our data. Okay. So here how the redundancy can be used to detect and correct the errors, by adding the some extra bits to the adding the some extra bit with our data. Okay. Some additional bit we can add with our data. Okay. So here those extra bit has been added by the sender. Okay. And at the receiver side, the receiver will remove those bits. Okay. So by using those extra bits, okay, so by using those extra bit, receiver will detect and correct the corrupted bits. Okay. So that approach we have to call as a redundancy. Redundancy you have to use for detecting and correcting the errors. How we have to detect and correct errors? By adding the some extra bit with our data. Who can be add? Sender add, and who can remove those extra bits? The receiver can remove those extra bits. Okay. So by using those extra bits, the receiver will detect and correct the corrupted bits. Okay. So this is one of the approach. Okay. And next we have to discuss the detection versus the correction. Okay. So what is the difference between the error detection and the error correction? Okay. So here the correction of error has been more difficult than the error detection. Okay. So why the correction has been more difficult than the error detection? So here first we will discuss the what is a error detection. Okay. So in this error detection, what happen? We can only looking to see if any error has been occurred. Detection means we only detect that whether the error has been occurred. We are not interested to how many number of bit are corrupted and what is the location of that corrupted bits. So here only you need to know whether the error has been occurred or not. We are not interested to how many number of bits are corrupted and what is the location of that corrupted bit. But in error correction, what happen? Here we need to know exact number of bits that are corrupted and their location in the message. Okay. So here we need to know how many bits are corrupted. Okay. And in which position of that message the corrupted bit is present. Okay. So that's why the correction has been more difficult than the detection. Detection, we only know whether error has been occurred. Okay. But in the correction, we must know exact number of corrupted bits and location of that corrupted bits. Okay. And in the error correction, there is a second point is the number of errors and the size of the message are important factor. Okay. The message size and number of corrupted bits or the number of errors are the important factor. For example, here you have to take one example. If you need correct the single error in the 8-bit data unit, so we need to consider 8 possible error location. Okay. So here the message size has been 8. Okay. From this we can need to detect one single error. Message size been 8 bit means there is a 8 location has been allocated for the 8 bits. Okay. From that we need to correct one single error. Okay. So means here there is a possible error locations are 8 possible error location, because we don't know in which position of this 8 bit the error has been present. Okay. So that's why you need to search all those 8 location, then only you can able to identify the location of the error. When there is only one, whenever you are to detecting the single bit error. Okay. But if you want to detect 2-bit error, okay, or we have to call as a burst error, we can take a 2-bit error. Okay. We can want to detect 2 errors. Okay. From this 8-bit data, then how many possible possible error location we need to consider. Okay. So how we need to calculate? By using the permutation. That is you have to use the permutation. Okay. So by using this permutation, we will get the how many error location we need to consider. Okay. So by solving this permutation, we will get the value as a 28. Means 28 possible error location we need to consider whenever I want to detecting the 2 errors from the 8-bit data. Okay. If only one single bit error is there, then you have to consider 8 possible error location. Okay. So that's why the number of errors so that's why here the number of errors and the size of message are the important factor. Okay, so this is all about the error detection versus error correction. So error detection means, so here we only need to know whether error has been occurred or not. We are not interested to the location of the error and also number of bits are corrupted. But in the error correction, we must know the number of corrected bits and also location of that corrupted bit. So that's why the correction is more difficult than the detection. Okay. So next we will move to the another concept, that is the coding. What is the coding? Why we have to use the coding here? Okay. So coding we have to use to achieve the redundancy approach. Okay, that purpose we have to use the coding scheme to achieve the redundancy approach. How we can achieve the redundancy? Through the coding process. Okay, so here what happens? The sender adds the redundant bit through the process that create the relationship between the redundant bit and the actual data. The coding schema is nothing but the one process. So by using that process, the sender will add the some redundant bits into the original message, okay, in such a way that the process or that coding schema must create the relationship between the redundant bit and the actual message or the actual bits, okay, in such a way that we need to find the process or the coding schema. So by using that, we need to add the redundant bit with the original data bits, okay. So in such a way that will create the relationship between the redundant bits and the actual bits, okay. So by using that relationship only, we can detect the error. Okay, this relation we need to establish at the sender side, and we need to transmit that redundant bits along with the original message to the receiver. The receiver will detect the relationship between the redundant bit and the original message or the original bits. If that relation is still there, then the data has not been modified, or there is no error in the data. But the relation is not present whenever the receiver receives the data, then the data has been corrupted. Okay, so that's why relationship we have to use for detect the errors. Okay, and next is the ratio of bits to the data bits and the robustness of the process are the important factor in the coding schema. A ratio of redundant bit to the data bit means what? Means how much location or how much size we need to allocate for the redundant bits and how much size we need to allocate it for the actual data, or how much bits we need to allocate for the redundant bits, okay, or how much bits we have to allocate for the original data. So that is also important factor. That ratio has been important. And also the robustness. Okay, robustness means, so robustness of the process means whatever the coding schema you are to using to add the redundant bits, okay, so by using those bits, the receiver can accurately detect the errors. Okay, if he can detect the errors, then the robustness of that process has been good, means the process has been strong. But receiver receive the data, the error has been present in the data, but the receiver cannot able to detect those errors, then the robustness of that particular process will be decreases, or the strong means the particular process has been not strong. Okay, so that's why the ratio of redundant bit to the data bit and the redundancy of the process are the important factor in the any coding scheme. Okay, so this what we have to call as a coding. Okay, so coding means through that we can achieve the redundancy. Okay, we need to add the redundant bit in such a way that will establish the relationship between the actual bit and the redundant bit. Based on that relationship, the receiver will identify or detect the errors. Okay, so ratio of the redundant bit and the original data bits and the robustness of the process will be important factor for the coding schema. Okay, so in the later we will discuss some of the coding schemes. Okay, so this will be the some introduction part of the error detection and the correction coding scheme, detection versus correction, and redundancy, and the single beat, and the error and the burst error. Okay. So next we will go to the next topic that we are called as a block coding. Okay. So in this block coding we will discuss the four concept, how to detect the error detection by using the block coding, how to detect the error, how to make the error correction using the block coding, and Hamming distance and the minimum Hamming distance. Okay. So first here we will go to the block coding. So we will discuss the what is the block coding here. Okay. And after that we will go the remaining concept. Okay. So here the block coding is nothing but what happen. Okay. In the block coding we divide the message into the blocks, as the name block coding has been indicates. Here we divide the message into the blocks, and each block will be the size k. Okay. So here divide the message into block. Each of that block has a size k, or each of the block has a k bits. So that we have to call as a data words. Okay. So each block we have to divide the message into the each blocks, and the block of size will block has contains the k bits, and that each block we have to call as a data words. Okay. And next what happens, second concept, we add r a redundant bit to the each block to make the n bit blocks are called as a code words. Okay. So means we need to add some extra or the some redundant bit with the block, redundant bit to the blocks or the data words to make the code word, that is a n bit code word. Okay. If you add some external bit to the original data bits, original data of the data words, so that will create the code word. Okay. So here they have told that they are adding the r redundant bits to the original data. The original data size is here been k bits. Okay. So that's k plus r is that will give the code word, that is size of n. Okay. So that is a n bit code word. Okay. So that's why we have to call as the data word and the code word. Okay. So data word is nothing but the, we have to divide the message into the block, and each block has a k bit, that each k bit block we have to call as a data word. And code word means we have to add this some redundant bit, we have taken as a r as a redundant bit, we have add to the data word whose size is k. Okay. K plus r, that will give the number of bits in the code word. Okay. And here with the k bits we can create the 2 raised to k data words. Okay. With the n bits we have to create the 2 raised to n code words. Okay. So here for example what have here. Okay. So these are the sum of the data words and the code words. Okay. As already told what is the data word. Okay. So here they are the message, this is. So here I have divided this message into the 2 bit size. Okay. So that is the first block has contained the 2 bits, second also 2 bits, third has also 2 bits, means here k value is 2. So each we have to call as a data word. Okay. And for each we need to add the some extra bits. Okay. So here I have added the one extra bits. Okay. 0 1 1 0. Okay. I have added some extra bits to that data word, and that will create the code word. Okay. So here the r value is 1 here. Okay. Means I have added the one extra bit, and that will create the code word. Okay. So the code word has a n bits, that is a n is here 3. Okay. So that what we have to call as the data word and the code word. Okay. And here next one is what they are told, with the k bits we can create the 2 raised to k code words, and n bits we can create the combination of 2 raised to n code words. Okay. Means here with the k bits we can possible that we can create the 2 raised to k data words, and with the n bits it is we can create the 2 raised to n code words. Okay. And next means here for example I will tell what is the 2 raised to n and 2 raised to k. Okay, so here what happened, what is the k value here? Okay, what is the value of the k here? That is a 2. Okay, I already told the value of k is here is nothing but 2 from this data word. So how many possible data word we can able to create? That is a 2 raised to 2, means 4. The 4 data words are present here. Okay, and 2 raised to n means what is the n value here? How many number of bits which are present in the code word? That is a 3. Means how many code words we can create? 2 raised to 3, that is a 8. Okay, so 8 code words. So because there is the only 4 data word is there, so that's why I am using only 4 code words, but actually there is a 8 code words are present. Okay, so that what we have to call with the k bits 2 raised to k data words, with n bits we can able to create the 2 raised to n code words. Okay, and next is the number of possible code word is larger than the number of possible data words, as it is because the n value is greater than k here. Okay, so here what happened, whatever the n value, n is 3 here and k is 2 here. Okay, so the number of possible data words is always smaller than the number of possible code words, because 2 to 2 means 4, 2 to 3 means 8, means code words are, possible code words are larger than the possible data words. Okay, and that is what they have mentioned in the block coding. For the same code word is always encoded as the same data word. Okay, so in the block coding process, the same data word we can always encode it into the same code word. One is the same data word, we can always encode it to 110, and 10 always encoded to 101, and 01 is always encoded to 011. Okay, so that they have given. Okay, and the receiver receives the invalid code that indicates the data has been corrupted in the transmission. Okay, so if the receiver has received, if the code word has, this particular code word has been modified, that is instead of 0 0 1 0 0 000, instead of 000, the receiver will receive receiver will receive 001. Okay, then the code word has been modified at the time of transmission, means that is the invalid code word and that code word has been discarded. Okay, so that they are told here. Okay, so this is what about block coding. Okay, message divided into the k bits, data word that we have to call as data words. We have to add this some redundant bit to the data words that we have to call as a code word. Okay, 2 raised to k data word is possible, and 2 raised to n code words are possible. Possible code words is always larger than the possible data words. Okay, whenever the receiver receives the invalid code word, then it will be discard that code word. Okay, so that is a basic definition of the block code word, block coding. Okay, next we will discuss the how we can do the error detection by using the block coding. Okay, so here what happened, first point, the receiver can detect the errors if they met the following two conditions. Okay, a receiver want to detect the errors, they must follow these two conditions. First condition is the receiver has the list of code words, valid code words. The receiver must contain the list of valid code words. Why? Because whenever the receiver receive the code word from the receiver, they need to compare that received code word with the valid code word. Then only they can identify or detect the errors. Okay, so that's why the receiver has the list of valid code words. And second one is the original code word has changed to the invalid one. Okay, that condition is necessary. If it is not changed to the invalid one, if the original data or the original code word is not corrupted, then the receiver cannot able to detect the errors. Okay, so that's why the original code word must be changed to the invalid one. Okay, so these are the two conditions. Okay, so whenever the receiver has been received the original code word, that original code word is compared with the valid code word. Okay, if both are matches, okay, there is no error. If both original code word and the valid code word are not matched, then that will be invalid one. Okay, so these are these two conditions the receiver has need to follow to detect the errors. Okay, so yeah, what is the meaning of valid? The receiver has contains a list of valid code word means, okay, whatever the code words are there, okay, these code words should be also present at the receiver side. Okay, then only if he can receive the any one of these, those will become sorry, the receiver must contain these code words. Okay, the receiver must contain these code words, valid code words. So whenever you see the receiver receive the code words from the sender, then those code word will be that original code word will be received by the sender will compare with this valid code word. Okay, so that is a list of a valid code word that should be present at the receiver side. Okay, so these are the two conditions. Okay, and next we'll go through the figure. Okay, so 10.3 figure here, this particular figure. Okay, so here in this first point is the sender using the generator to create the code word out of the data word. Okay, so here sender using the generator create the code word out of the data word. Okay, what is the meaning of that here? Okay, so this is the structure of the encoder and the decoder. Okay, so here sender has whatever the sender is there, he can using the generator to create the code word. Okay, so sender here using the generator to create the code word. Code word is nothing but it is a combination of it is a code word is nothing but it is a combination of the message and the redundancy. Okay, so that is a what meaning of that particular sentence. Okay, and each code word sent to the receiver may change during the transmission. So whatever the code word, the created code word can be transmitted over the media. Okay, and that has been received by the at the receiver. Okay, and third point is if the received code word is same as on one of the valid code word, then code word is accepted and the corresponding data word is extracted, otherwise the code word is discarded. Okay, what is the meaning of this sentence here? So whenever the sender send the code word over the transmission media that has been received by the receiver, okay, at that time that received code word will be forwarded to the checker. Then checker what he'll do? Okay, so he will compare that received code word with the valid code word which is present at the receiver side. Okay, if both are matched, though both are matched, then it will receive the original message from that code word. Okay, otherwise what happen? That if there is a no match happen between the valid code word and the received code word, then that will be discarded. Okay, so this is what encoder and the decoder. Okay, so I will tell generally here. Okay, here what happen? Message at the sender use the generator. Okay, by using the generator the sender will add some redundancy beta with the message, and that will create the code word, that the message plus redundancy will create the code word. Okay, and that we can transmit over the media. The receiver will receive that code word and forward it to the checker, and checker will again compare those received code word with the valid code word that is already present at the received side. If both are matched, then it will be forwarded to the then the message will be extracted from that code word. If both are not matched, then the code word has been discarded. Okay, so this is the what structure of the encoder and the decoder. Okay, So how we, by using the block coding, in this way we can detect the errors. Generator we have to use at the sender to create the code word, and checker we have to use at the receiver to check the received code word. Okay. So here these are the data words already I told. Okay. So there is a one simple example they have given here. Okay. So what is the example they have given here? Okay. Let us assume k equal to 2 and n is equal to 3. K equal to 2 and n equal to 3 means it is similar to this table only. Here k is also 2 and n is equal to 3. Okay. So the table 1, so they also told that refer the table 10.1, this one only. Okay. They contain the list of data word and the code word. Later we will see how. Okay, so that will be there. Assume that the sender encode the data word 01 to the 011. Okay, so as I told, they have taken the one of the data word and the code word. From this they have taken this they have taken this code word, this data word and the code word they have taken here. Okay, so that's why they are told assume sender encodes the 01 to the 011, add sender it's send it to the receiver and consider the following cases. So what are the cases are possible here? Okay, so the first case is here is the receiver receives 011. So whenever the receiver is received this 011 means if means 0, if receiver receive the 011 means it is equal to the whatever the code word that is sent by the sender. So that's why it is a valid code word. The receiver extract the data word from that code word. So what is the data word here from this? This is the first 2 bits are the data word 01 that will be extracted from the code word. Okay. So if you receive the valid code word, then it will be accepted, correct, and from that the data word has been extracted. So here from this 011, the what is the data word? The first 2 bits are the data word here. Okay, because redundant bit is the only one here, so remaining are the actual data. So that's the first 2 bits are the actual data. Okay. And next second case is here is nothing but the code word is corrupted during the transmission and 111 is received. Okay. So if the receiver has received 311, so that is not equal to the 011. Okay, so that is not equal to, because what happened here, they are told that they have sent the 011, so but the receiver has received the 311, so means both are not equal, so these are the not valid code word and that will be discarded. And next one is the third case, the code word is corrupted during the transmission. Okay, and it receives the 000 here. Okay, instead of 011 it receives the 000, means how many beats are corrupted? 2 beats are corrupted here. Okay, so this is the valid code word. Why this is a valid code word here? 2 bits are corrupted, but still it is telling that this is a valid code word. Why? Because the whatever the list here is present, that is also contained the code word as a 000. Okay, so whenever it will compare that 000 with that particular table, so already that code word is present in that valid code word. So that's why this will tell that's why it will tell that this is the valid code word. And receiver incorrectly extract the first 2 bit, that is a 00. Actually what is the actual data here? 01, but it will extract the 00. So 2 corrupted bits have made the error undetectable. Okay, so 2 corrupted bits have made the error are undetectable. Okay, so it is wrongly identify the actual data. Okay, so these are the 3 possible conditions here. Okay, whenever the k equal to 2 n equal to 3, there is a first case is there when that will be match valid code word, extract the actual data from that. Okay. Second case, whenever the code word is modified, so no valid code word, so that will be discarded. In the third one, whenever there is a 2 bit error present, still that code word has matched with the list of a valid code word, then it will wrongly extract the data word from that. Okay, so these are the 3 cases. Okay, And next we'll discuss the Hamming distance. What is the Hamming distance here? Okay, so Hamming distance between the two words is the number of difference between the corresponding beats. Okay, so what is the Hamming distance here? Hamming distance is nothing but here it is a number of differences between the corresponding beats. So I will tell how. They have taken the one example here. They have taken the two code word is sent and the code word has been received. Okay, so the Hamming distance has been here 2. Okay, why? Because you have to take beats here. Okay, so here at the sender side the first beat is here. Okay, so here at the sender side the first beat is here, it will be 0. Okay, here also it is 0. Second beat is here 1. Yes, here at the second beat is 0. So 1 difference, first difference. And next we have to take the third beat. Here is 1, here is also 1, it will be correct. And fourth one is here 0, but here 1. So this is the second difference. And last one is it is also 1 and it is also 1. Okay, so means that will be match. So totally how many differences be there? That is 2. That what we have to call as a Hamming distance. Hamming distance is nothing but what? It is a number of difference between the corresponding beats. Okay, so from this example, how many differences are present between these two code words? There is a 2. Okay, that what we have to call as a Hamming distance. Okay, and you can also calculate the Hamming distance, okay, by applying the XOR operation between the two words, and the whatever the result you will get, you need to count the number of ones in the result. So how many ones are present in that particular result, that will nothing but the Hamming distance. Okay, so you can also apply the XOR operation between the two code words, and whatever the result you will get, you need to count the number of ones in that result. So that will define the Hamming distance. Okay, so you have to take the same example. Okay, that is 1 0 1 1 0. Okay, 1 0 1 1 0 and also 3 1 1 and 2 0, and you can apply the XOR between those two code words. Okay, we will see how to apply, and already know what is the truth table of the XOR operation. So whenever there is a similar beats are there, okay, whenever there is a similar beats, then it will be result will be 0. Whenever there is a similar beats, the result will be 0. Whenever there is a two different beats, then the result will be 1. Whenever there is a two different beats, the result will be 1. Okay, so means whenever you are to applying the XOR operation between the similar beats, the result has been 0. Okay, whenever you are applying the XOR operation between the two different beats, then result will be 1. Okay, so by using this truth table, you can apply the XOR operation between the two code words to calculate the Hamming distance. Okay, so here they are used here. Okay, so they are used those two code words. Okay, 1 0 1 1 0 and 1 1 1 and 0 0. Okay, so here two are similar, 0 1 0 1 1 1 means similar, that's why 0 1 0 different bits, that's why 1, and 1 1 are similar, so that's why 0. And after that you need to count the how many number of ones are present in the result. Okay, so here totally 2 ones are present. Okay, so here totally 2 ones are present in the result. Okay, so that's why the Hamming distance is 2. Okay, so in this way you need to calculate the Hamming distance. Hamming distance, difference between the corresponding beats. Okay, now a number of difference between the corresponding beats. Okay, so that is what is the Hamming distance. Okay, and how we need to calculate? By applying the XOR operation between those two code words, and you need to count the number of ones from the result. That number of ones is represent the Hamming distance. Okay, so this is all about the Hamming distance. Okay, so they are given the some of the examples. Okay, the Hamming distance between the 0 0 0 and 0 1. Apply the XOR operation, that will apply the XOR operation, and that will give the result as a 0 1 1. So there is a 2 ones are there, so that's why the Hamming distance is 2. And you can also take another example. Okay, so we can apply XOR between these two. Okay, so here what happened, the result will be 0 1 0 1 1. So how many ones are present here? 3 ones. Okay, so that's why the Hamming distance is 3. Okay, and next we will discuss the minimum Hamming distance for the error detection here. Okay, so here what happened, minimum Hamming distance is nothing but here it is the smallest Hamming distance between the all the possible pair of a code words. First you need to calculate the Hamming distance between the all the possible pair of a codes, and among that you need to pick the smallest one. Okay, that what we have to call as a minimum Hamming distance. Okay, and the second point is to guarantee detection of up to S error in the all the cases, and minimum Hamming distance in the block code must be d minimum is equal to S plus 1. Okay, so if the minimum Hamming distance is equal to S plus 1, then the receiver will only detects the means it is guaranteed that receiver is only detect the S errors. Means if the minimum Hamming distance is 4, then the receiver can only guarantee that it will detect 3 errors. That what they have given to guarantee detection up to S error in the all the cases if the minimum Hamming distance is S plus 1. Okay, so this is a what geometrical representation of the minimum Hamming distance. Okay, so here what happened, whatever this box are there, these are the valid code word, and whatever these points are there, these all we have to call as a invalid code word. Okay, so here whatever the invalid or the corrupted code words which are present within this. Okay, okay, so here what happened, so whatever the corrupted code words which are present within this radius, okay, that all has contains only S errors. So that's why it is guaranteed that the receiver will detect all those S errors. Okay, if the number of if the Hamming distance is greater than the S, that what they have given, it is not guaranteed that all the errors will be detected which is greater than S. Okay, that is a what meaning of this geometrical diagram of the minimum Hamming distance. Means here radius means what? All these corrupted bits will contains the S errors. Corrupted code words are contains the S errors. Okay, so that's why it is guaranteed that the receiver will detect all those S error from those corrupted code words. Okay, but if the number of errors is greater than that S, okay, it is not guaranteed that all those errors will be detected. Okay, so that is our geometrical representation. Okay, so here they have given the one example, the minimum Hamming distance of the coding schema in the table. But we first find all the Hamming distance. Okay, so they have refer the table 10.1 here, refer this table 10.1. Okay, so refer this table here. Okay, so from that you need to find the minimum Hamming distance. Before calculating the minimum Hamming distance, you need to calculate the Hamming distance between all the possible pair of code words. Okay, so here they have calculated here. Okay, so first they have calculated the 0 0 0 0, okay, and the 0 0 1. Okay, first they have calculated the difference between the 000 and the 0 0 0 1 1. They have taken these two code words. Okay, among these code words they have calculated the Hamming distance, okay, by applying the XOR operation. Okay, and second they have taken the 0 0 0 and 1 0 1. Okay, means they have taken these one and 101, these two. From among the they apply the XOR operation between these two code words to calculate the Hamming distance. Okay. Okay. So next they have taken the these two, 000 and 110. Okay. And after that they will take the 01 and 101. Okay. And finally they have take these two pair, 101 and 110. Okay. So all those possible they have apply the XOR operation between all the possible pair of a code words to calculate the Hamming distance. They have calculated the Hamming distance here. The all are 2 here. Okay. So the minimum Hamming distance is also okay. So that is how we can calculate the minimum Hamming distance. Okay. So this is all about the Hamming distance. Okay. So next we will after the Hamming distance we'll move to the linear block codes. Okay. So what is the linear block codes here? All the block codes used today belong to the subset called as a linear block code. A linear block code is a code in which exclusive OR of two, that is a exclusive OR of two valid code word creates the another valid code. Okay. So here the exclusive OR between the two valid code that will creates the another valid code. Okay. So that code word we have to call as it is a linear code word or the linear block codes. Okay. Linear block codes is a code in which we need to apply the exclusive OR between the two valid code words, so that will create the another valid code words. Okay. So means each code word has linearly linked to the other code words. That what we have to call as a linear block codes. Okay. So in that we will discuss the two terms. One is a minimum distance for the linear block codes, and after that so we will discuss the some linear block codes, means we will discuss the parity checking codes. Okay. So first we will discuss the take the one example what is the linear block code. You can refer the table. Okay. So here can refer the table 10.1. Okay, as already I told. Okay. Or you can refer that particular table 10.1 table. Okay. As already I have mentioned in the previous I have discussing the minimum Hamming distance. Okay. So you have to refer that particular table, and you can perform the XOR operation. Okay. XOR operation between the code word. Okay. And the XOR operation between the any two code word is create the another code word that has been already present in that particular list. Again you can take the pair of code words, again you can apply the XOR operation, and again it will create the another valid code word that is already present in that particular table. Okay. So that's way you can do that. Okay. Refer the 10.1 table and you can apply the XOR operation, and you can create the linear block codes or the linear code words. Okay. And next we'll discuss the minimum distance for the linear block code. As already discussed, same, it is like a minimum Hamming distance only. Okay. Minimum Hamming distance is the number of ones in the non-zero valid code word. Okay. With the smallest number of ones. Okay. So means first you take the minimum distance, minimum Hamming distance. Okay. Between the, or you can minimum Hamming distance is the number of ones in the non-zero valid code word with the smallest number of ones. Okay, so you can take the two code words, okay, and within that two code words in such a way that dot should be non-zero valid code word. Means if you already discussed that there is a code word is present in the table 0 0 0 1 1, okay, and after that 1 1, okay. So non-zero valid code word means you not consider this first one because it is a zero valid code word. Okay, non-zero means you need to consider there at least there is a one should be present in that code word. Okay, so that what we have to call as a non-zero valid code word. Okay, so among that you need to uh, determine the minimum number of ones. Okay, minimum number of ones here, so we can take these two 0 1 1 and 1 1. So what is how many ones is present in the first one? There is a 2. How many ones? 3. Then which is the minimum one? That is a 2. 2 is nothing but it is a minimum Hamming distance for the linear block code. Okay, and that should be a non-zero. At least one should be present. Okay, so that's what we have to call as a minimum Hamming distance for the linear block code. Okay, and they have given the one example. Okay, so as already we discussed, okay, so in our first code the number of ones in the non-zero code words are 2 2 2. Okay, you can refer that 10.1 table. Okay, a number of ones in non-zero code word you have to determine all as contains the only all those code word has been contains 2 ones only. Okay, so that's why minimum Hamming distance is 2. Okay, and after that we'll move to the parity checking, which is a very important one. Okay, this parity checking we have to use for the detecting the code. Okay, so here what happened, in this extra bit added to the data word to make the total number of ones in the code word are even. Whatever the data word is there, okay, saying that we need to add some extra bit. Okay, so after adding the extra bits, the number of ones in that particular data should be even. Okay, and that we have to call as a code word. Already told that n equal to k plus r. K is nothing but the actual data size, r is nothing but the extra bit. You need to add the extra bit into the data word in such a way that will create the even code word. Even code word means the number of ones which are present in the code word should be even. Okay, so here that what we have to call as parity checking, and they have taken one diagram here 10.10. Okay, okay, so before going to that diagram, we'll take out the first 2 points here. Okay, first one is at the sender side the encoder uses the generator that takes a copy of 4 data words. Okay, that will takes the copy of 4 data word and generates the parity bit r0. Okay, so here by there is a generator and that will take the 4-bit data word and generates the parity bit. Okay, so what they have given here, what happened, at the sender side there is a generator is there that will take this 4-bit data. After taking those 4-bit data, it performs the calculation and it will generate the parity bit. Okay, that parity bit it will add to this particular data word and create the code word. Okay, so that they have given here. Sender at the encoder user take the copy of 4-bit data word and generates the parity bit. Okay, and after that data word bit is and the parity bit creates a 5-bit even code word. Even code word means number of ones in that code word should be even. Okay, so then we'll discuss the what is the operation at the generator. I told that already there is beats that will take the generator and that will generate the parity bit. But how it will generate the parity bits? What is the operation the generator will perform on this data word? Okay, so here what happened? Operation at the generator, here what happened? So this generator will add the each bit of the that data word. Okay, to add the each bit of that data word. Okay, so here they have taken the data word as a, okay, a3, a2, a1, a0. Okay, and the generator will add those bits. Okay, so that is a0 plus a1 plus a2 plus a3. Okay, add those bits of the data word. Okay, and after that the sum will be divided by 2. Okay, the sum will be divided by 2. Okay, so that's why they are told here. Okay, so a3 plus a2 plus a1 modulo 2 means that will be divided. Okay, after dividing that we will get the a remainder. That remainder we will need to assign to the r naught. Okay, if that remainder is 1 or the result is 1, that has been indicates that number of ones in the data word is odd. If the remainder is 0, the number of ones in that data word is even. How means? You can take this particular example. Okay, we take this data word. Can take this data word, particular data word. Okay, can take this particular data word, that is a 0 0 0 1. You can all the bits. Okay, that is 0 plus 1 0 plus 1 0 plus 1. The result has been 1. So the sum, then you have to divide it into 2. And what result you will get? What remainder you will get? 1. 1 means what here? Okay, 1 means the number of ones in the data word has been odd. Okay, so as told, there is only one, there is an odd number of 1 is there. Okay, so that is a odd number of 1. If you take this this one, 0 0 0 1, so 0 plus 1 0 plus 1 plus 1 means here 2 means 2. The sum is 2 divided by 2 means the result has been 0. The remainder has been 0 here. Okay, remainder 0 means the number of ones in that data word has been even. Okay, so in this way the generator will identify the whether given data word is a even or the odd. Okay, if even is there, then r naught has been 0. Okay, r naught means remainder, then that r naught will be up into the r naught will be up into this particular data word and creates the code word. Okay, if the r naught is 1, that is a remainder is 1 means number of bits in the data word has been odd, and that remainder has been added to the data word. Okay, because odd means the remainder value is 1, that is r naught has been 1 here, that had been added to the data word, and that will create the even number of 1 in the particular code word. Okay, so in this way they are told here. Okay, the number of ones is even, the result has been 0. Number of ones is odd, the result has been 1. If already even numbers of 1 is there, then your remainder has been 0, and directly you have to append that 0 into the data word. Okay, if odd means the result has been 1, remainder has been 1, that 1 has been appended to the data word and make the number of ones are the even. Okay, so that is at the sender side. Okay, now we will discuss what is at the receiver side. At the receiver, the checker will calculate the centrum value by adding all the 5 bits. So in the sender side, what happened? We are only adding the 4 bits of the data word. But here what happened? We have to adding the 5 bits of the code word, including the remainder value. Okay, or including the parity bits. So here B3, B1, B2, B1, B0 are the data, and Q0 is nothing but here the parity bits. So that's why we can add all the 5 bits here, okay, and you can divide it by the 2. So whatever the reminder we'll get, that reminder we need to assign to the S0. The S0 is nothing but the syndrome value, okay. So if the syndrome value is 0, okay, then the number of ones in the received code word has been even. So that is the correct one. The received code word is valid, and you need to received code word is a valid one. If otherwise, if the syndrome value has been 1, means the received code word is modified or corrupted at the time of transmission, okay. So that they are given here. So at the checker, that will take the all the 5 bits including the parity bit. There's a Q naught is a parity bit. Add those all 5 bits, okay, and after that you will get the reminder as the S0, okay. That S0 we need to send to the that S0 value, there is nothing but the reminder value, and that reminder value we need to send to the decision logic, that is a decision logic, okay. The decision logic will analyze the value of S0. If it is the 0, then it will extract the actual data from this particular code word, okay. If the syndrome value has been 1, okay, then it will discard that particular code word, okay. So that is what operation will be happen at the receiver side. It will receive the all the 5 bits including the parity bits, and checker will perform the summation of all those 5 bits, and it will divide by the 2 and take the reminder. That reminder is nothing but the syndrome value, that is a S0. If the syndrome value is 0, then it will accept that code word and extract the actual data from that particular code word, okay. If the syndrome value has been 1, then the code word has been discarded, okay. So that is what the last step they have mentioned here. Decision logic use the syndrome. If syndrome has been 0, then data word is accepted. If 1, the data word is discarded. So this is a what parity check code we are using for the detecting the error, okay. At the generator, what they are doing here, they are adding these 4 votes and divided by the 2 and taking the reminder. The reminder is 1 means the number of ones in the data word has been odd. The reminder has been 0 means the number of ones in the data word has been even, okay. So 1 means if odd number of ones is there, then you have to add the one parity bit to make the number of ones in that particular data word as a even, okay. And the combination of data word and the parity bit will create the code word that we will need to send to the receiver side. At the receiver side, the checker will again make the summation of all the 5 bits including the parity bit, and then it will calculate the reminder, that is the syndrome value, and the syndrome value will be forwarded to the decision logic analyzer. If the syndrome value is a syndrome of the reminder as a 1, means indicate that the code word has been modified, and that will be discarded. If the syndrome value is a 0, then it will accept that code word, and data word has been extracted from that code word, okay. So this is a parity check. Parity check means it is nothing but that you have to add some extra bit to the data word to make the number of ones should be even, okay. So this is all about the parity checks for a parity check. So they are given the one example here, okay. The data word has been 101, okay, and the code word has been 10311, okay. When there is a first case, there is a no error. When there is a no error, the receiver code is also same, that is a 1011 and 1011. Then the syndrome value is been 0, okay. Then syndrome value has been 0 here, and the data word is extracted from that code word. So what is the data word here, okay. The first okay, the first 4 bits, okay, there has been the first 4 bits has been here data word that has been extracted, okay. So if there is a one single bit error is present, means 10011, means there is a one bit has been changes to the 1 to the 0, so that's why one single error has been present here. Then the syndrome value at the receiver side has been 1, and no data word has been created, because the syndrome value is 1 means the code word is completely discarded. And third one is here what happened. In the third what happened here, the single bit error changes means the whatever the R0 means, the here the last one is R0 here in the code word. Okay, the last one is R0. That is a parity bit. If the parity bit is changes into the 1 to 0 here, parity bit has changes to the 0 1 to 0. Okay, then also syndrome has a 1 and no data has been extracted because the code word has been discarded. Okay, so here there is a fourth case, error changes R0 and the second. So if two bits are modified, okay, one is the R0 value parity bit, that is the last one is also modified, and A3 value is also modified, that is the first one. Okay, two bits are modified here, but two bits are modified, then also the syndrome value has been 0 here. Why it is 0? Because modified, but it is showing that 0 here. Okay, why it is showing it is a 0 here? Okay, so because the number of ones are even. Whatever the receiver code word, after making the after two bits are corrupted, still the number of ones are even in the received code word. Okay, so that's why that will be accepted. The syndrome value will get the 0 because whatever the number of ones are there, that is a 0. Still, if the two bits are corrupted, the number of ones in the receive code word has been 0. The number of ones in the receive code has been even. So that's why the syndrome value has been 0 and data word is a 0. 1 will be extracted. Okay, but that data word has been wrongly extracted from the particular code word that is not matched with the original data. Okay, so in this time the error has been undetectable. Okay, and the fifth case is here is what happened. The 3 bits are modified, so after modification there is a odd number of ones. Odd number of ones mean the syndrome has been 1 and data has been not created and the code word has been discarded. Okay, so in this way this problem has been solved here. Okay, so whenever there is a code word which is received by the receiver which contains a even number of ones, then it will be accepted and actual data will be extracted from that. If whatever the receiver code word from the receiver has contains the odd number of a 1, then that code word has been discarded and no data has been extracted. Okay, so this is all about the parity checking. Okay, so in the next video we will discuss the cyclic codes.